we forget the oldies but the goodies. And programs like Montessori and music therapy and so many others are just a terrific, wonderful addition to the whole family of programming that we can do for people with dementia and aging services. Reminiscence is one of those things that is a very familiar activity. It is something that we all do, probably without even really thinking about it. When you say, oh, do you remember when? Or, gosh, I was just thinking about that time we did X, Y, Z. It's really a part of just our normal everyday conversation with people, especially people that we've known in our lives for many, many years. We have common shared memories, and reminiscing gives us the power of emotional memories. I want to tell you just a little bit about the AGE-u-cate Training Institute before I go on, because this program that I'm talking about, Reminiscence, is based on the program of Flashback, which is one of 3 branded programs with the AGE-u-cate Training Institute. The first program is called Dementia Live, and it is a simulation experience we take learners through that helps to create empathy and understanding about what it might be like to live with dementia. And our second program is called Compassionate Touch. I thought it was very interesting, and I loved seeing on Mr. Rabin's presentation about Montessori that using touch with people with dementia is very effective, and it is. So that's another program that we have. And then the third program is Flashback. So Flashback is a training program that we can bring into aging services communities to teach them how to use the tool of reminiscence with people with dementia. So reminiscence for us, what it does is it ignites our senses, it evokes memories, and hopefully good memories, and it can change relationships. And we all possess memories that tells our own unique life story, and recalling the past is a means of owning it. It's a means of making it real and preserving ourselves. It's the here and now which holds the teller closer to in relationship with each other. So reminiscing is something that we do usually with another person or persons that builds a stronger relationship. It ties us together. It validates our life. It validates our humanness and our personhood. Our goal always with dementia care is to preserve quality of living. And that is what we should all be striving to do, whether we are professional caregivers or family caregivers, caring for somebody in your own home with dementia. It's about the quality of living. And I agree with what of their presenters have said, is that sometimes we can have this perception that people with dementia are incapable of experiencing quality of life, that they've forgotten what it means to be happy, and that they have to live the rest of their life in a state of depression and sadness and decline. And that is unfortunately a very false misconception that many live under. Reminiscence is a means of sharing experiences and stories from the past. And I want to tell you just a little bit about why reminiscence is so important for people living with dementia. And reminiscence allows people with dementia to call upon their strength, because our memories reside in our long-term memory bank. And that is the part of the brain that is typically the last to deteriorate with the process of dementia. Reminiscence can offer people with dementia a sense of competence and confidence through a skill that they still have. I'm going to show you this video now that does a great job of explaining what happens with memory loss. in a person with dementia?
Julie, we have no audio on the video.
You have no audio?
No audio.
Oh dear. Well, that's unfortunate. All right, well then I'm going to just explain to you the bookshelf analogy of memory loss. So let me just exit out of this.
I think when you do a screen share on the bottom left, there might be a share computer audio button.
Oh, all right, let's see. I apologize, everyone. I'm not going to take the time to try to figure that out. So I'm going to get out of this, go back here. Now I've lost my PowerPoint. How do you like that? See if I can get back to it. How's that?
Still no audio.
No audio. All right then. What that video so beautifully illustrates is what happens with the process of memory loss with somebody with dementia. Boy, this is really getting kind of goofy here. If you think about a bookshelf and the various levels of a bookshelf, the top books in that shelf are the books that contain your immediate memories, the memories that happen within the last, say, 24 hours to a couple of days. Those books become very shaky and fragile in the early stages of dementia. And you will discover that people with dementia lose the early memories or the immediate memory ability first and foremost. The books on the middle shelf are the books from their middle age, 30s and 40s. And those books stick around a little bit longer than those on the top shelf. But still, as the disease progresses, those middle shelf books they continue to deteriorate those memories. On the lower part of the bookshelf, the most stable part of the bookshelf are the long-term memories. And those memories stay more active and stable the further along the process of dementia moves. So that's one side of the bookshelf. The other side of the bookshelf are the feelings that are attached to those memories. So every memory for us elicits a certain level of feeling. Hopefully they're happy feelings. Some memories don't have happy feelings, they have sad feelings. But the feelings that are housed in our brain remain strong and they remain ever present even through dementia. So while facts and details of our memories may elude people with dementia, the feelings that are attached to those memories remain very active. So I want to demonstrate for you, are you seeing a picture of curlers on your screen now?
Yes, we are. Yes,
Okay,
we are.
great. All right, we're back on track. Now, Flashback, what Flashback actually is, it's a program that, and you can go to the AGE-u-cate website, you can actually purchase these cards that simply have a bunch of pictures on them. And pictures that will be familiar to older people and elicit some memories. So I am going to ask that, probably it's a little not a good idea to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway, is to ask you all to unmute if you would like to comment on these curlers and the memories that they bring back for you. So just jump right in, unmute yourself, and tell me what kind of memories you have. Anybody?
Julie, they're all in muted mode. They would have to put some comments in the chat.
Okay. All right. And if you, I'm not seeing the chat right now, so if you wouldn't mind, if you could read if there are any comments in the chat, Susan, I would really appreciate that.
My grandmother used to use the pink curlers. Reminds someone else of high school days. I used to use them. I still use them.
It reminds me of a Lucy and Ethel episode.
There we go. Reminds me of my
yes.
mom and curlers. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Reminds
Very
me of
good.
my mom and curlers.
Now let me ask you, did these curlers actually work?
No, just tangled up your hair.
Yeah, right. I would go to bed with these curlers at nighttime because that was the beauty of these curlers. You could sleep with them, and you were supposed to wake up and had a nice full head of hair that was curly. My hair is about as straight as it comes, so I always wanted to get curly hair. It never worked. These curlers never worked. Did they work for anybody else?
A couple people said they worked.
Okay. All right, I'm going to show you another picture. Thank you for the comments. Okay, this particular picture doesn't have a memory for me because it's a little beyond my, my years. But those who are maybe a little older or have memories of grandparents or even parents, what is this and how did we use this?
People are commenting that it's a radio, jazz music and Roosevelt fireside chats.
Right.
Radio. Mm-hmm.
Were fireside chats an enjoyable time for most people?
I think it was a time when a lot of families sat around the radio together. It was a time for people to be connected. It was, the time besides dinner.
Oh, I'm seeing the chat now.
Okay.
Pop it up, so that's good. Yeah, I think for the most part, this radio represented fun time with family. It was something that people looked forward to. It was an event. It was a special time for a lot of people. Any other comments on the radio? Just lost the chat again. Any other comments there, Susan?
For TV, scary stories.
Oh, right.
Yeah, or resource for new information.
Oh, it was the internet at the time. I suppose, yes. Interesting. What kind of new information came through this radio?
Sherlock
Back in the
Holmes.
day. Mm-hmm.
World War II.
Right.
The Shadow. I remember that.
Yes. Yes, good. All right, and here's one other picture. Now this is one that I'm going to share, but I am curious to know if anybody else out there, if this looks familiar. When my sister, after my mother died in 2016, my sister and I were cleaning out her home, and we found this plastic tub that had this lid on it. And when we both looked at this, we said, oh my gosh, We remember this because it was a special dessert that we were able to have on special occasions in our family. But it was interesting to me when I read vegetable fat frozen dessert. That sounds so disgusting. I can't believe that. Oh, I ate that. Vegetable fat frozen dessert. Does anybody out there remember this dessert?
No, but it sounds keto to me.
Right. Before keto was even a thing.
Yeah.
I don't see any comments coming in from people that have any memories of this. But this one plastic piece of, plastic gave my sister and I the longest time of reminiscing, because this led into so many other conversations about my mother and about the desserts that she would make, and how excited we would get when it was time for a special dessert, whether it was somebody's birthday or it was just Friday night and we were watching the Brady Bunch. It was a time that we looked forward to. So we were able to use reminiscence as a way to handle our grieving. So that is a personal memory. So reminiscence can be for people an opportunity to relive parts of their life that are very comforting and familiar. And it's where people with dementia are living. If you ask somebody with dementia often, how old are you? Many times they're going to say 50 or 40. Many people with dementia will kind of reside in that time of their life. And while they may not be able to, without prompt, recall some of these memories, pictures can do that. Music can do that. Just like Rebecca referred to, music can tap into recesses of the brain. Smells can tap into the brain. So tapping into the long-term memory is what we want to try to do when we're working with people with dementia. So one of the things that we at the AGE-u-cate Training Institute recommend for family caregivers at home, as well as caregivers caring for those in assisted living, nursing facilities, create a memory basket that you can have quickly, that you can grab when you need to. And think about reminiscence as an activity, as an intervention that is more than just spontaneous, because most of us, we don't say at 7 o'clock Saturday evening, we're going to sit down and reminisce. It's something that happens spontaneously. But with dementia programming, it is something intentionally that we should remember to do and incorporate it as a part of our daily interactions with our residents and our daily programming. I was horrified to hear Mr. Rabin's reference that 87% of the time people with dementia are sitting and doing no activity. While I was horrified, I wasn't surprised because I too have seen and been a part of that type of a scene for many, many years. And it's difficult because you have one activity worker to 25, 30 residents. So having something individualized available for people to rummage through, to touch, to pull out, to share with another person is an individualized, person-centered approach. And so we can ask our family members to provide things such as pictures or any other types of hobbies that a person had, or anything that's going to spark a good long-term memory, to have a little basket available. This is really good for families right now taking care of loved ones in their home, because with our social distancing, it's many people are finding that they're at home with with their mom or their dad, or mom and dad are alone together, and they're really running out of things to do other than sit and watch the television. And so reminiscing is something therapeutic that is actually good for both care partners, the caregiver, the care receiver. And I remember, you know, being a social worker years ago, how much I enjoyed being able to hear the things that people would talk about. It's why older people do enjoy telling their stories to younger people. It gives them a sense of purpose and a sense of success and purposeful engagement. So hobbies, occupations, get really creative with reminiscing. So after you, I know this is going to be, we can't really, you know, verbally share, but what just happened to you? Just think about that for a minute as we were looking at those pictures of the radio and of the curlers. Did you chuckle to yourself a little bit? Did you remember a little something? Oh, I want to tell you one other thing that happened today. I was on a staff meeting this morning, and I was eating my breakfast, and we were just kind of waiting for another staff member to get on. So I said, I apologize, I'm eating my breakfast. I said it consists of strawberries, blueberries, and animal crackers. And my coworkers just erupted. They were like, oh my gosh, animal crackers. Are you kidding me? You eat animal crackers? I said, absolutely, I love animal crackers. And they said, oh, I remember the box with the little handle on it and everything. That was so much fun. And the animals on the cover of the box. And I said, well, go out to the store, get yourself your Barnum and Bailey animal crackers. Because yes, adults can enjoy animal crackers too. Not just for kids anymore. So we had just a brief little conversation about animal crackers. So think about what a box of animal crackers could do for some of your residents or your loved ones that you're taking care of. So just talking about the animal crackers made us all kind of giggle and laugh. So reminiscing fills the soul. It's very therapeutic. Reminiscing tips. Look for the emotion behind the failing words. Avoid using words, why, what, or what did you say, or why don't you remember, or don't you remember when? Instead, use the word tell me. Tell me about the day that you were married. Tell me about when your son John was born. Tell me about your first grandchild. Tell me about the hardest class that you had when you were in school. Tell me. Ask a lot of questions, just like I did with the curlers. Did they work for you? Mm. You want to prompt the reminiscing activity with questions. Mm. Join their world. If they are 40, be there with them. Long ago, we did used to think that reality orientation was a good idea. We thought it was our job as caregivers to remind our residents about where they were, what the date was, that their husband had indeed passed away. And I saw many occasions where family members would be horrified that mom didn't remember that dad had passed away and felt it was very necessary to remind mom of that fact. We don't have to be right. We don't have to, nor should we expect our care partner to remember dates and facts and when this happened. What we want to tap into is their feelings. We want to tap into feelings of well-being and happiness. And I would also encourage you to welcome the silent pauses. Sometimes that can feel a little uncomfortable because sometimes we feel like we have to constantly be talking to them, constantly be entertaining them. But sometimes to allow a person to sit with a picture of spongy curlers and let them contemplate that is okay, because they're tapping in and they're remembering something about those curlers. So
Julie?
welcome the pauses. Yes.
Julie, somebody offered a comment that this is very similar to how they work with children on the autistic spectrum,
Yes.
joining them in their world.
Mm-hmm. Yes. In fact, when I do compassionate touch training, I hear that a lot as well as Dementia Live. There are similarities with the effects on the brain with autistic folks as well as people with dementia. So yes, good comment there. I saw somebody say, I grew up in Florida, so maybe it was an Illinois dessert. Could be. It could have been just a Chicago specific dessert too, for all I know. But those are questions to ask. Those would be a question to ask somebody to say, really? Wow, I never saw that dessert before. Do you think it was, local to you, or do you know other people? So anyway, so those are some reminiscing tips. I want to get back to, again, this idea of feelings, and I want to see how we're doing on time. Okay. This idea about feelings, because a famous quote from Maya Angelou is that, I've learned that people will forget what you said, will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So reminiscing isn't about helping somebody remember the facts and the dates and all of that. It's helping them remember how that made them feel. Also, the Alzheimer's Association says that we need to consider the feelings behind the words or the sounds. Sometimes the emotions being expressed are more important than what is being said. So if somebody is looking at that picture of the spongy rollers and they're laughing to themselves and kind of muttering to themselves, it doesn't matter what they're muttering or what they're saying. What matters is that they're smiling and they're laughing and you see a little light in their eye. That's what matters. So feelings for people with dementia are important because they're still alive. They live inside of somebody with dementia, even somebody with end-stage dementia. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about related to feelings, and that is that oftentimes feelings inspire behavior. So negative feelings such as boredom, loneliness, isolation, anxiety, frustration are likely going to inspire negative behaviors. Yelling out, crying, potentially agitated wandering, exit seeking. Positive feelings such as happiness, joy, fun, will inspire positive behaviors. So there's a concept in the industry that is well-being or ill-being. Well-being is being happy, engaged, purposeful, connected, a part of, loved, cared for. Ill-being is loneliness, isolation, depression, learned helplessness, boredom. And so our job as caregivers is to try to keep our residents, our loved ones, in well-being versus ill-being. And reminiscence is a tool that you can use to help move somebody out of a state of ill-being into well-being. It's music therapy is a tool that we use. Compassionate touch is a tool that we can use to move people out of ill-being into well-being. So it's a terrific thing that caregivers out there are always looking for strategies that work. And these strategies do work. They might not work all the time. They might not be successful every single time. But the point is in dementia care is that we need to continue to try. And what will work one day might not work another day. And that's another part of the journey of caring for somebody with dementia, is that we kind of find the solution that works, and then, you know, a week later it's not. So that is part of the challenge of being a caregiver, whether you're professional or private, is continually trying different things, new things, never giving up, and never allowing ourselves to believe that somebody with dementia is incapable of having quality of life and quality of care, of course. So remember, feelings versus facts. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they're 85 and they want to think that they're 40. Doesn't matter if their loved one is deceased. They don't need to remember that. The facts don't matter, it's the feelings. I can be reached in a couple of different ways. I am with, as you know, with the AGE-u-cate Training Institute, so you can find me there. You can also go to the AGE-u-cate Training Institute website if you're interested in ordering those flashback cards. It's just a really great little tool to have in your back pocket. They're not very expensive at all, and you can get those cards. In fact, we were just talking the other day at AGE-u-cate about how we probably need to do a little bit more updating to those cards and add a few more things for the baby boomers who are aging. And you can also reach me at my website, Enlighten Elder Care, and my personal email, julesbogg@outlook.com. So that is what I had prepared for you today. I welcome any questions that you might have through the chat. Otherwise, thank you for letting me share reminiscing with you. And thank you for reminiscing with me.
Are there any questions?